Steve, down the arrow.
Down arrow.
Down
Can
the
I
arrow.
press the space?
You can do what you like. I don't know what it'll do, but
All right.
give it a whirl.
We'll try. We'll make it work.
There we go. Introducing Emma.
Thanks, Helen. Hi, everyone. It looks like so much more people when you stand up here, doesn't it? Okay, write copy that has a pulse. That's like the topic of our talk today, but obligatory introduction first, which I will try not to bore you with. This is me, Emma Loveday, founder of Disgustingly Good Copy. I'm a copywriter. So I'm a sales copywriter. Newsletters, email sequences, and sales pages are my jam. That's what I love to do. But first and foremost, I'm a storyteller. So story-led sales posts or sales copy is my absolute favorite. Have so much fun. Everyone can have so much fun writing sales copy, I promise. But it all started, so the storytelling, like a little bit of backstory, it all started for me when I was younger. My mum threw me into a stagecoach to slap the shyness out of me because I was quite shy and nervous, not very confident, and stagecoach was down the road, so she thought, 3 hours of singing, dancing and acting every week, that's bound to do something for her, isn't it? And it did, it really did actually. So probably not the outcome they wanted. It didn't work so well for them because when I was 18, had done however many years as stagecoach and then doing drama at school and whatnot. And then at 18, I was like, Mom, I'm going to go to drama school. And I'm pretty sure that's not what they wanted to hear, especially considering I was not bad with like numbers and academic subjects like that. But so I went to uni then to do acting, and I loved it. It was amazing. And during that time, I was doing a lot of script writing for plays and things like that. And I just thought it was amazing how you could move people. And then when you think of how that applies to sort of our copy and our communications, it's like how we move in people to action, right? But the emotion is really at the heart of it. So this is just proof that I was on stage at once upon a time. And this was actually a play that I co-created with a small group of us called Woof Like a Puppy Dog, which was about phone sex operators. So I made that prop there, and it is probably exactly what you think it is, but we can chat about that afterwards if you like. Come and have a chat to me about it. So from all of this, this is what I think. We talk about storytelling a lot, I think, in marketing at the minute, and it's because we're trying to cut through the noise, hook in our audiences, hold their attention. We've got to do that before we even try to convert them, and we're trying to create a more intimate connection, and nothing does that better than stories. So to me, a great story feels like an immersive experience. So if I ever write anything, and I have had this before, which always feels really, really nice, if someone comes back to me and they're like, that felt like a scene from a movie, I'm like, yes, that was it, that was the one. Because great stories should feel like we're living them, right? That we can easily place ourselves within the story that we're telling. They have life, they have a pulse. We give enough detail to feel like we're there living it. So that to me is what makes a great story. And how we make it feel like it's an immersive experience is making it easy to imagine. So like that's the trick, like that's the crux of it. How can we feel like, oh, I can place myself in that? You know, when you're reading a really great book and you cannot put it down, they've done such great world building, right? Or a series you just have to binge on Netflix on a weekend, right? It's because it's just so engrossing, so captivating. It's because it's easy to imagine. They've built the world up so well that you're there in it. So therefore it becomes easy to connect with. So this is the problem as I see it, or at least when I'm having conversations with people who are, you know, trying their hand at storytelling online, you know, to raise awareness and put themselves out there. There's this idea that like your stories have to be like extraordinary, right? Like extraordinary. So we're either talking like a Greek tragedy of like pain and suffering, something like really extreme, the lows of the lows, or a massive story of triumph, and as if there's like nothing in between. The things in the middle aren't interesting, and that's so not true. So not true. Because ordinary stories are relatable stories, right? And relatability is key, and familiarity, and oh, I can imagine that, and oh, I've experienced that. I know I haven't experienced that, but I can imagine how I could experience that. All of these things. And for me, it's not actually necessarily the idea of the story. Obviously, we want to be discerning. Not every story should be told. But it's actually how we tell them that makes them extraordinary. So it's how we tell them that like hooks somebody in. So I want to just share, actually, before I go back, do you know who does, can I go back?
No, not now.
Do you know who does that really well? Comedians do that really, really well, right? Story-based, right, exactly. Oh yeah, I was there for the last one, it was great. Like observational comedians do that so well. If I think of three, like, I just like these ones, right? Greg Davis, Sarah Mulligan, Tom Segura, any of those three, they're like story-based comedians. If you like took the joke out, if you analyzed it, removed the joke, and just looked at like, okay, what is the nugget of this story? What is this all based upon? It'll be like that first date that I had, or that time I rode in a taxi and the driver was really weird, or that time that my wife twisted her ankle on the stairs. And they're not extraordinary stories, but you're hooked. You listen to them all the way through. Comedians would make great copywriters, right, honestly. But I just want to make a point of that. These are examples of stories that like my audience has loved. So like emails that have had lots of response, or posts that have had lots of response, whatever, however you want to look at it. Just to make a point, these are all relevant to business. They're never sort of just random stories that I'm telling. It's for the purpose of business. So they link to like one of the topics that I tend to share, whether it's business, copywriting, marketing and visibility, like one of those type of buckets. But they look massively random in a list like this. They're not. So first one, asking my landlady if I could paint a wall. Right, literally just paint a wall in my house. It's a whole debacle, it's a whole thing. I won't go into it, right? But that was a story. That was like one of my most replied to emails that I've ever written, asking my landlady if I could paint a wall in my house. And that was all about trying to bring someone round to your way of seeing things, right? Copy and sales. Taking a client meeting in a Wetherspoons, that was not great. And it was a really important client as well. It was a new client, premium, quite hesitant to work with me as well, because if we're not connected on LinkedIn, you see sort of my personal brand and how I write. I do not come across as premium, so I needed to schmooze here, and instead what happened was I couldn't take my meeting in my home. So I went into the town, a town which I don't know, I'd only just moved, lobbed myself into a Wetherspoons and took the meeting to the tunes of slot machines in the background, and it was marvelous. They loved me, it was great. Again, so that was a story. And then cleavage woman on the tube. This was such a loved post. It was just a post on social media. And it was about a micro moment in time. This is what I mean by it doesn't have to be an extraordinary story. It was a micro moment in time where I got on the tube, I sat opposite this busty lady, and her buttons were sort of undone. There was no nipplage or anything on show, but her buttons were sort of undone. And I looked at her and I thought, yeah, like she's confident. She's sitting there so relaxed, owning it. And I was like, that's intentional. That is amazing. Good for you. Body positivity. Until she realized and shot off the tube and doing her buttons up, flushing beetroot red. And it wasn't intentional. But that was all about, so you can segue with anything. That was all about exposure, right? and online visibility, right? but it makes the point that your story doesn't have to be, you know, massive highs, massive lows. The ordinary stories can be made extraordinary. So, at the risk of the next few slides feeling like you're in an English classroom, sorry, I'm going to just share with you 3 of my favorite, so simple it feels like a trick, it's not a trick, so simple it feels like a trick ways to write these stories that are easy to imagine, right? So just 3 just little tools and techniques. They're not even going to be new to you 100%. I've not created anything here, but stories that can, techniques that can help your stories like pop off the page and come alive. Easy to imagine, easy to connect with. Okay, let's go through. So number 1 is just guess who, which is just give us a sprinkle of information about the characters that you're going to introduce so that we get a sense of who they are, right? A lot of the times we're bringing in characters into our story that, you know, we know why they're there. We know the purpose of the character, why it's there. It should move the story along. If they don't, then why are they there? Okay, just get rid. It's okay. Be brutal. Axe them. But we don't always get like just a nugget, just a little descriptive nugget, so we get an idea of like who this person actually is, so that we can invest in them, and it gives an added layer of depth to that story that we're creating, right? So I've got some examples. Example. The gel-soaked car salesman smiled his too white smile. So obviously we're playing on a stereotype there. I could probably have just said the gel-soaked car salesman, and you'd have gone straight to like, yeah, sleazy, slimy, like salesy car salesman. I've got him right in my head. Yeah, you probably think of like Ben when he sold you that car that you got now, you know. Someone comes to mind straight away. And it's in one sentence, one little sentence. The holiday bus driver stank like a pub ashtray that's never been emptied, right? So sensory experiences as well. As soon as you read that little sentence, I don't have to really tell you anything else about that bus driver. You start filling in the picture for yourself, right? And it doesn't have to look like the bus driver that I've told you, you know, that I've experienced. But it steers you in the right direction. And then the last one, my landlady looks like Bricktop's long-lost sister with uncanny tea-stained teeth, wiry chin hairs, and beer bottle glasses, right? So it's important, probably I should mention with things like this, when we're making references like this, that was in an email, and I included this picture of my landlady, which is not, it's Bricktop. If you haven't seen Snatch, this is Bricktop from Snatch.
It's mean of you, actually.
You haven't got the chin hairs though. You know, we just need to be aware of references like that in case you never know if your audience has or hasn't watched something like Snatch. So, you know, just by popping that in there, it's fine. You can see she looks exactly like that, can I just say? And it's okay that I'm saying that, I promise. Number 2, swap narration for dialogue. This is like one of my all-time favorites. Instead of writing about a conversation, give us the conversation. Right, let me just show you. I've got 3 examples here. Tutor, it's the piano's birthday. Prepare your favorite song and get ready to celebrate 3 years with Gerald. Huzzah! Me, guys, what are you doing? Friends, we thought we would go as the piano. Me, oh my goodness, awesome. Also me, I'll be the stool. And I was, and everyone loved it, right? My mind, you can keep going. You got this, you are invincible. There's more you can do. My body, no you can't, and no there blooming well isn't. Right, so you can do like internal dialogue as well and bring that out. That's super fun. The next one's my favorite though. Ex-partner. I just think that you love me this much, hand to forehead, but I only love you this much, hand at chest. Me, thank you for waiting until I'm stuck on an island in Greece with you and your family for a week before telling me this. Right, that was a true story and I'm fine, don't worry about it. I'm not bitter, you are. I'm joking. So But can you imagine if, right, bam, it's right there, you're in the scene, you're with me, I've given you setup, I've given you context, I've actually given you everything you need to know about this situation just through those 2 sentences there of dialogue, versus if I had said, so I was in an apartment in Greece and my partner sat opposite me and he told me that he thought he didn't love me as much as I did, and I thought, oh my goodness, I'm here on hot, and suddenly you're like, rate of revelation is really slow, right? And you're just not in it the way you're in this, right? Conversation, dialogue, beautiful, so much fun as well. And then this is the last lot of examples, by the way, and then I'll let you go. Don't state the emotion, show the emotion. This is a biggie. Just some examples, right? She was not happy with the haircut I'd given her. So not happy, emotion, unhappy, frustrated, miffed, insert negative emotion there. That's the emotion. So what we could say instead, she shot out of her seat, purple rinse still wet, ripped the cloak from around her neck and spat at me. I won't be paying for that. Ironically, this one that doesn't mention she was unhappy, that's where you get the feeling this woman's not happy, right? This is where you feel that anger and that tension, versus when we just state, I mean, she wasn't happy with that haircut, you know, doesn't give the emotion that we want to convey. I was anxious to step on stage. Where did I get this example from?
You haven't got stage.
I know. Anxious, right? Anxious is the emotion. I was anxious to step on stage, okay? Or, as the lights went up and the room went silent, all I could hear was my heartbeat pounding in my ears, right? If anyone's experienced anxiety, in any kind of form really, it doesn't have to be stepping on stage, that's a physiological experience that you can connect to and you can relate to, right? You could have had sweaty palms, aching stomach, all of those type things. But again, you feel the anxiety in this example far more than you do with I just telling you I was anxious to step on stage, right? It's far more powerful. And with this example, this last sort of technique, just want to show you a few examples of how you can apply this to your offer to create curiosity, right? So you can see how these things sort of apply. This is just an email, right? Instead of, for example, win clients with email is mind-blowing, right? We want them to feel like this offer, win clients with email, is mind-blowing. So we put a power word in there, yeah, power, kind of says nothing though, right? Instead we can try, you'll know exactly how to write emails that hook your subs from day one. Like super simple, but great swap out. Win clients with email is value packed, or it's rammed with so much bingeable content over 3 modules, you want to watch it on repeat. Right, so you get the feeling of like it's devourable, right? And then this is the last one, I promise I'll let you eat pizza. Instead of win clients with email is results focused. So again, that's a statement. So you sort of want to ask like, well, what does that mean? What would that look like? How can I get excited about that? You could instead try, it's help clients wake up their slugs. It's help clients wake up their subs and get calls in the diary after months of inbox silence. So you're talking to a pain that they have and like the desire on the other side of it as well. So it's visual, it's easy to envision and imagine and get excited about. So turning statements into something that's basically a story, right? Something we can envision, it's action, it's movement. And those are my 3. So simple, it feels like a trick techniques that I use regularly. There's way more than that, but obviously I was only allowed 15 minutes, which I definitely went over. So please, thank you for listening, by the way, everybody. Thank you for listening. Please have a bash at those if you're like, especially if you feel like a little bit nervous about storytelling, have a bash at those. If anyone wants like the slides or anything, let me know, I'll send them over to you, I don't mind. And connect with me on LinkedIn, because that's where I hang out as well. That's actually the end now. Thank you.
I mean, with clap, we don't have to clap again.
No, don't clap again.
I just love Nicole's massive hand. She's there every time.